Manchester United officially want to sign Fenerbahce centre-back Yusuf Akçiçek. Geovany Quenda, here we go, to Chelsea. Manchester United make a move for Dušan Vlahović for £35 million. Casemiro's been left shocked by Sir Jim's criticism. Bayern Munich set their sights on Diogo Dalot. United are exploring a double deal for two South American wonder kids, and Omar Barada says that the hard decisions will allow us to invest in the first team. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video and let's jump straight into it. So first of all, give us your thoughts on the match last night and the performance. I actually thought, barring the first 10 minutes, it was really good. First half, a little bit, like I said, that opening 10 minutes was infuriating. Obviously went behind. And then from that moment on, we pretty much, dominated the game, controlled the game, scored some good goals, could have scored some more goals as well. And I actually find it hard to find any sort of criticism. The only kind of very small criticism I would have would be Onana's distribution infuriates me. But apart from that, I thought there were some really, really good kind of performances. So United will face Lyon in the Europa League quarterfinals. And I'm just going to quickly go because there's loads of news I want to go through. So firstly, shout out to Aiden Heaven. I thought he looked really, really good considering that's his kind of first full Europa League debut, full kind of first, first moment in the Europa League. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Aiden Heaven won every single duel that he contested in the first half against Real Sociedad from Statman Dave. So shout out to Aiden Heaven. And shout out Joshua Zirkzee as well. I thought he was outstanding. So unlucky to not get his goal because he had a moment where he had like two chances in the space of 30 seconds or a minute in the second half and was very unlucky with both of them. So shout out to Joshua Zirkzee as well. And then I thought Patrick Dorgu also looked really, really good as well. Looked a threat all game. Could improve his final ball, but I thought he was super impressive throughout the game. His game by numbers: 100% successful take-ons, 100% tackles won, 100% aerial duels won, 75% of his ground duels won, 9 touches in the opposition box, 6 fouls won, 5 shots, 2 clearances, and 1 a penalty. There you go. There's an all-action kind of game from Patrick Dorgu, so shout out to him. And then obviously the man of the moment, Bruno Fernandes, hat-trick, outstanding kind of player. It kind of beggars belief that where we would be without Bruno kind of carrying us over the last few years as well, it could be a lot worse for United. But overall, it kind of felt a little bit like, let me know if anyone else feels like this, right? It felt there's been such a dark cloud over United for what feels like ages. And then this week, it finally feels like there's a little snip of positivity. I know it's not, the Premier League, you can't change what's happened in the past in terms of like the Premier League and stuff, but it felt like we've been, surrounded by all this kind of negativity for so long. And, I think we've actually ended, obviously we've got a game on Sunday, so the week's not over yet, but it actually feels like a bit of that kind of cloud is starting to lift. I thought there were some really, really good performances. Casemiro was like, I thought they were all good in their own ways. There wasn't really anything, to kind of nitpick at. So fair play. So that's my thoughts on the game. Let me get involved in the comments, though. Let me know what you think about the match and the performance last night. Now, let's move on to some transfer news. So, breaking it. Chelsea agree a deal for Portuguese top talent Geovany Quenda. Here we go. Medical done for Quenda after secret blitz. He will join Chelsea in 2026. Club-to-club agreement completed with Sporting, and Quenda said yes to Chelsea project and Enzo Mascarena's plans. Now, that came this morning from Fabrizio Romano in a bit of a Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere, that the deal that Chelsea have signed Geovany Quenda from 2026. There's not even been any kind of reports that Chelsea were interested in Quenda. All the noise has been United, from very credible places as well, from people like David Ornstein and Romano and the Muppeteers and Ben Jacobs. Do you know what I mean? All the kind of top hitters have all been saying that United are, looking to get a pre-agreement done with Quenda. And do you know what I mean? It was seen like I would have said that was a 90% nailed on transfer for us going off of all the recent reports. And then Chelsea have just come in from nowhere and signed him. Medical done. That's insane that deal has been kept so quiet. David Ornstein said Chelsea have reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon to sign Geovany Quenda. The winger will stay at Sporting next season. We will join Chelsea in 2026. Medical done. 7 plus 1 year deal in place for fee between 45 to 50 million euros, not far off what United aim to pay. And to be fair, looking at the details of that, I wouldn't want us to go anywhere near that sort of deal. We're not in a position where we can wait for players to come in, wait 18 months for a player to come in. Anything can happen in 18 months. He is only 17 years old. He could get injured. His form could fall off a cliff, and you've committed to buy somebody for 45 to 50 million pounds that still has a load of question marks around him. I do think he's a good talent, though, so I don't want to sound like it's sour grapes when I give my thoughts on that as well. We usually have different ones in the comments, but I wouldn't want United to go anywhere near that sort of deal. I think it's, we're not in that kind of position. We need ready-made players, or we need players to come in and have an impact on the first team this summer. To spend a large chunk of our budget on somebody that's going to effectively be like on a loan back to Sporting for the next 18 months just makes zero sense for us as well. And obviously that's maybe why they've kind of managed to do that deal, because it's a better deal for Sporting. They get to keep him for another year and push that problem further down the line, so they don't have to scramble around to get too many players this summer. And then also as well, a 7 plus 1 year contract. No, thank you very much. If that's the sort of deal that Quenda wants to sign, then that's entirely up to him. But yeah, I wouldn't want us to go anywhere near that sort of deal. And it just kind of shows that, even the best get it wrong sometimes, because it was David Ornstein that was the one that kind of originally broke the story regarding Quenda. That's why I and many others felt that it was such a deal that was very likely to go through because of David Ornstein. And it just shows that sometimes these things get done in secret. And for the Chelsea, fair play to Chelsea for swooping in and getting that deal done out of absolutely nowhere, because there's been a few links with Quenda to Liverpool that I've seen, some to Real Madrid and stuff. But fair play to Chelsea. They've come in, like I said, out of nowhere and just managed to get that deal done. And nobody's been mentioning it beforehand. All the noise, I've been bringing you news over the last kind of 2-3 weeks regarding Quenda. So it is what it is. Let me know what you think about that, though, in the comments. Now, in terms of alternative, Graham Bailey said this before, that Ruben Amorim is targeting Geovany Quenda and Braga's Roger Fernandes, a 19-year-old winger, as a cheaper alternative for the summer transfer window. Amorim, familiar with both from Portugal, favours Quenda but would welcome Fernandes too. And I brought the kind of comparison before. So, Roger Fernandes could be seen as an alternative to Geovany Quenda, a little bit older, got way more defensive kind of output to possibly come in, would obviously be cheaper than Quenda as well. So maybe that would be one that we could look to maybe go for now that obviously Kenda's gone to Chelsea. Another player we've been linked with today actually is Tyler Dibling, could be another one. So Manchester United are eyeing up a potential €40 million transfer of Southampton wonder kid Tyler Dibling this summer. He is unhappy and wants to leave Southampton, so that wouldn't be a bad shout as well. And then obviously with Amad Diallo, he could potentially play right wing back, or Dibling could play at right wing back as well. I still think you've got a good player there that can come in and do a good job in that particular position. But the one thing that, with the whole kind of Quenda thing, is that we've already seen from Christopher Vivell and Jason Wilcox in Heaven and Dorgu that they can actually get it right and they can scout players, because you've got to think I think the summer signings have actually done okay as well. I can't really, Xerxes been outstanding recently. I like Ugarte. Lenny Yoro is a young up and coming, looks a fantastic prospect. Delit, I think, has been a warrior for the last few weeks. Mazraoui, was amongst the players of the season with his performances. So the players we signed in the summer were good, but obviously you've got to remember that Dan Ashworth and Eric Ten Hag had an input on those. Sir Jim said it the other day that, Ten Hag influenced some of those sign-ins, whereas Heaven and Dorgu are two players that have completely kind of been done by Amorim, Wilcox and Christopher Vivell. And look how much we kind of paid for them as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't think so. I trust the kind of, with those signings, if we can make a few more signings like that, then I think we're going to improve massively regarding that. So, but let me know what you think about that. Give us some options, actually, some alternatives in the comments. Let's move on to some other transfer news. So Manchester United might make a move for Dušan Vlahović, as Juventus are willing to lower their £35 million asking price for the striker. Now, that came from Gimme Sport. That would be an interesting kind of deal. I think he would need to lower his wage demands, though, as well, if we want to kind of go near that deal. But what are we thinking about Vlahović? For less than £35 million, remember the other striker we're linked with at the moment is Mateta. Apparently, Palace want £40 million for Mateta. And you could get someone like Vlahović, who's cheaper and younger than Mateta. Obviously, there is a bit more risk because he's not played in the Premier League. But let me know your thoughts on that. There's his kind of stats for the season, not particularly outstanding in anything, but he's an out and out kind of number 9. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Vlahović. I mean, for the price, 34 appearances, 14 goals, 2 assists this season, which is not a bad record in Serie A. If you could get him for less than £35 million, that would put him currently cheaper than any other striker that we've been linked with, apart from Jonathan David, who is a free transfer. But someone mentioned in the comments actually the other day, Richie, I think it was you, that apparently Romano has said that he wants like a big wage and a big signing on fee as well. So, that's one to kind of pay attention to. I'd want to see a bit more credibility, though, regarding it as well. But let me know what you think. Vlahović, would you go for Vlahović as the kind of striker option if you could get him for less than 35 and he lowers kind of his wage demands as well? We'll have to wait and see. Depends on who they want to go for. Like I said, Christopher Vivell, Jason Wilcox, and Amorim seem to be good so far at profiling players. So I trust them to kind of, go for the right player regardless of who it is. I don't think they're going to go for names. They're going to go for players that fit the kind of system and the mold, which actually I think is quite exciting. Now, Manchester United officially want to sign Fenerbahce centre-back Yusuf Akçiçek, who's 19, and will meet with the Turkish club in June. United will send scouts to watch him again tonight against Rangers. That came from last night. Now, that came from a Turkish source who's seen as the Romano of Turkey, linking us again with the Akçiçek. I brought you that story I think it was like a week or so ago as well. He actually said that Manchester United wants him very much. I expect an official offer of around 10 to 15 million pounds to come in the summer. So this could be another one that ticks all the boxes. Young, up and coming, developmental, a really kind of highly regarded prospect, relatively cheap, at the right kind of age to develop, 19 years old, to kind of come in alongside. So he's not going to break the bank neither as well. Do you know what I mean? To add to the likes of Yoro and Heaven and the young kind of defenders that we're looking at, or young players in general, I think we're looking to kind of bring in as well. So that's one to kind of pay attention to. I'll keep my eyes on it for you. And we'll see how that kind of develops going forward. Manchester United are exploring a double deal of Juan Jimenez and Tobias Ramirez, who are both young centre-backs with huge potential from Argentina. So Graham Bailey suggesting another kind of double raid on 2 more wonder kids from South America. Obviously, Juan Jimenez is one that we've been linked with for a while now, for a week or so. That was kind of, looks like one that we're potentially interested in. Chelsea will probably come in and sign him now, won't they? And Tobias Ramirez, again, is very highly regarded young centre-back as well. So it does look like, going off of those reports, potentially, United are still looking at young centre-backs to come in, whether that's, well, obviously because Johnny Evans is going, Victor Lindelof is going, we play 3 at the back, so we do need a few kind of positions covering. Whether their plan is to play Mazraoui at right wing back, and that's why we pulled out the Quenda deal. That couldn't be ruled out as well, or Amad Diallo to play there. And there's plenty of ways that we can manipulate the kind of deals and stuff. But two very highly regarded young players. So that's 3 very, very potentially good centre halves that we're linked with. I don't know whether we're going to go for all 3, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how those kind of stories develop. One player, again, we've been linked with, so Ekran Connor has linked us with loads of players, got a large following, don't know the credibility, but Manchester United is one of many clubs showing an interest in the potential transfer of Nottingham Forest midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White. So that would be a decent option, but I think he's going to be expensive to get from Forest. Obviously, Forest might be in the Champions League next season, which seems crazy to kind of say, but they're having an outstanding season and done really well. Like, they're proof in the pudding. I mean, but if you get the right recruitment, then it shows that you can kind of fly up the league relatively quickly. And they've been signing some really, really good players and built an actual squad and a team with a vision and with kind of some thought behind their signings as well, rather than just, buying the big expensive name, which is what we've been doing all in the past. So if you can so it just kind of shows you can construct a squad or a decent side out of maybe less glamorous names, as long as they're the right fit for the system and they've got the right character and attitude and stuff. Yeah, I'd want to see a bit more credibility regarding Gibbs White personally, but would be an interesting option to kind of bring in. And then Manchester United and some other Premier League teams have all been offered the opportunity to sign Leroy Sané this summer. Leroy Sané wants all options available to him before deciding his future. That came from Graham Bailey. I don't think we're going to go anywhere near Leroy Sané. He's the total opposite of what we're kind of looking for. I did read a story actually was saying he was willing to lower his €10 million a season wage demands to secure a move. I still think he's the wrong age and wage for me for Leroy Sané, and I much rather us go out personally and go for some young, up-and-coming developmental wonder kids like Nene Dorgeles, for example, was one we were linked with, but with Romano in January. Somebody of that kind of ilk would be a lot cheaper and a lot less in terms of wages, but could fit the system. And if they're well scouted, then I'd much rather be going for those sort of deals than someone like Sané personally, but keep an eye on it for you. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now let's go through some exit talks. So Manchester United would be forced to pay £20 million if Marcus Rashford leaves this summer. This is because the club could end up paying the remainder of his contract to satisfy his demands. Now, that came from Chris Wheeler, effectively saying that we could end up buying off Rashford's contract or giving him £20 million in order for him to then take potentially a pay cut to go to another club. So if we get, let's say, Aston Villa, obviously he's doing well there at the moment, the option to buy is for £40 million. So it might be that we give Rashford 20 of that 40 in order so he can take a wage cut to then make that deal permanent, which would be insane, but I wouldn't rule it out. So Bayern Munich has set its sights on Diogo Dalot as one of their main options to strengthen the right back position in the upcoming season. That came from Vachahez, who are they're one of the least credible sources I've come across, yet they get posted and re-quoted by credible sources. I don't know the reason why, because Ben Jacobs, who's way more credible than Vachahez, said there's nothing between Diogo Dalot and Bayern Munich. Right back, not a priority for Bayern, even if Sacha Boey departs this summer. Bayern have not made any approach to Dalot to date. So that's one we'll need to kind of wait and see how that kind of develops. Obviously, there was a news story that I brought to you the other day saying that Real Madrid and Bayern Munich might be interested in Dalot. Whether that story originally came from Vachahez, that can't be ruled out as well. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. I think with Dalot, we need an upgrade, but I would be happy to keep him around in the squad because he is a true professional. He's very highly regarded behind the scenes for his professionalism and his attitude, and he's always training well and ticks all the boxes off the pitch. It's just his form this season's been absolutely terrible. Although last night I thought he kind of improved a little bit as well. So whether that's just hopefully maybe the sign of things to come, but yeah, I do think we would need an upgrade in that right wing back position, but I would be happy to keep Dalot as a backup or an alternative or someone that can kind of rotate around. But if we got a deal for him, a decent offer, I do think this summer would be the time to kind of sell him, because if he has another season next season like he has this season, his value is going to plummet massively, and he does class as pure profit from a PSR perspective as well, because we've paid off his transfer fees. So I think it would be food for thought anyway, depending on the deal. Now, Casemiro has taken offence to Ratcliffe's comments with the club accelerating efforts to seal his exit. So this came after the Sir Jim Ratcliffe interview a couple of days ago, where the report was saying that United's still working hard with the Pro League to try to get him out. They're in constant contact with them. They realise that they're the only place that can get him out and take his wages. If not, they are looking at possible loans, which they are keen to avoid. We can also confirm that Casemiro is one of the players that has been left shocked by Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments and has taken offence. This could complicate things. United would like the Brazilian to take a wage cut ahead of a possible move away, but that looks unlikely now. So that came from Graham Bailey, suggesting that Casemiro took a little bit of offence to Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments. I don't know why, because Jim Ratcliffe's questioned the Casemiro deal even before he kind of bought any stakes in Manchester United. That was one of the things that came out, saying that he questioned, the transfer decisions and stuff before the deal was even done. But yeah, we'll need to keep an eye on that one. I thought he played well last night, but it's still, I still think we can upgrade in the summer, and I think they want to get rid of his wages personally. But right, let's quickly go through the rest of the news. So Mason Mount's back. I haven't brought you that news yet. So Ruben Amorim is desperate to get Mason Mount back and keep him fit. He views him as an ideal fit for the number 10 roles in his system. So he's back in first team training now. Obviously, last night's game was too soon. Whether he'll be on the bench at the weekend, we'll need to wait and see. But I was looking at his injury record for United. That is insane. So he's made 32 appearances and only played a total of 1,100. I can't see 59 minutes since he signed for us as well, which is absolute insane. So we'll wait and see how many games or how many appearances he makes before potentially gets injured again. Hopefully that's it and he never gets injured again, because I do think there's a player in Mason Mount and I do think that he fits the system and I do think he would improve the team. It's just I don't trust him to make more than 3 appearances and be out again for 3 months. That's the kind of issue with Mason Mount, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, Omar Barada, what we're doing in this very short term is trying to get our finances in order. The club has made lots of losses over recent years, and that's unsustainable. We're making difficult decisions and hard choices to get back on a strong financial footing to allow us to reinvest in the team in the short term. What the fans want is what we want, to see a team which is successful, playing good football and winning matches. So that's more quotes coming out from Omar Barada. And I actually like the fact that we've heard this week from people like Omar Barada and Sir Jim and people in charge. I mean, like, we've had 20 years of silence from the Glazers where we've just felt really, really rudderless, like we've just been floating in the ocean without any kind of direction or without any sense of direction or anything like that. And actually just to kind of hear the owners and the CEO come out and say, look, this is what we want. Whether they'll do it or not, only time will tell. But it's still clear now what the vision is for United and where they do want to kind of take us. But again, we'll need to see the action because it is just words at the moment. But, that's all we can kind of go off at the moment, is that this is the kind of talk they're saying. And until they kind of give us reason to not trust them anymore, then we can kind of critique them going forward if it doesn't obviously happen. But I think it's actually been nice to hear from these sort of people. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.